to any other audio issues, we will begin the training. This will cover the basic instructions and tips for room administrators with Resource Scheduler web portal. You received an email that had a couple of documents, a few links in there. The idea with the link for the web portal was what we'll be discussing today. The others were just to give you an opportunity to take a look at what it looked like in Outlook and to click through and just see if you would like to test that kind of thing to make your own reservation. And that was just kind of giving you that opportunity at that time. Today, we will be discussing the web portal link, which is where all of your room administration will take place. Can everybody see my screen okay?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm sorry, how am I supposed to be able to see that? Did I do something wrong?
Is it not large enough on your screen?
Are you just talking about the document you sent? I'm sorry.
The document was just for reference. The web portal, when you're on this session, you should be able to see my screen at this time.
Jamie, if you click on the web portal, is that what you mean?
Yep, you can click on the web portal if you're going to follow along. If you're watching my shared screen here, you should be able to see my screen pulled up, Resource Scheduler. You can see my name is in the top right-hand corner next to hello.
Okay, what do we need to do?
You can follow along if you would like. If you have a split screen available to you, you're able to follow along with this presentation through the clicks. Sometimes that helps for learning the materials. Or
Did
you
say
can,
a split screen?
yes, a double screen if you have more than one screen.
Oh, I don't. Yeah.
Okay, okay. So if you would like, you can just watch and follow the presentation, and then you can go to the portal when begin the training. Now, hopefully everybody can see my screen at this time.
I'm still not able, Jamie, to see your
the
screen.
Is anybody else having this issue?
No, we're all set.
Okay.
We're all set.
All set.
If you are still having an issue with seeing the screen, I'm not too sure why that would be. I can, if you would like, you can send me an email. I can send you a link to the training when it has completed. Does that work?
Yes, thanks, Jamie.
Yep, no problem. All right. So just to start things off, if you notice up here in the top right-hand corner, you'll see the help link. If at any time you're in here and you forgot, how to do an approval or use the quick links or anything else within the resource scheduler, you can click here on the help, and it will bring you to this help page where you can click on the click here to obtain Ottawa County Resource Scheduler training documentation and help guides. When you click on that help guide, it will actually bring up this page for you. And basically from here, you can click on, general users, room administrators. This is also where you'll find the training videos. And eventually we'll have frequently asked questions as well. All right. So for those of you who do not know, a room administrator is granted certain rights within the system. As an administrator, you're able to override the time fence that is set within the system and make minor changes to other individuals' reservations. You're also, in certain situations, you will approve or deny reservation requests if that's how your location is set up. This is the web portal, and it's probably easiest to think of the web portal as your dashboard to all things managing events, obtaining room information, and checking on your own reservations as well. I don't know if any of you had a chance to go through the initial training video that was contained within the invite, but that would have went over the My Information area. And to just quick touch on it, the My Information area, you can go to it at any time and it will change your defaults for what is within the system, along with email options and your dashboard home page layout. So the documentation that was also included and where it can be found on that help page, that documentation kind of shows the workflow. Each department is going to decide amongst each other how they're going to do their own workflows because our locations are so unique. In that documentation, I put in facilities workflow process. This training will cover how to manage it within the web portal. So when you come to the Resource Scheduler web portal, you'll click on the Approvals tab. This is where you'll begin your approval process. I always find it very easy to use split screen. So if you do have dual screens, it can be very helpful when looking through approvals that are needed to be made because you can see the room or the many rooms in our case all together on one screen. For this example, we're just going to use this screen and I will be clicking back and forth. Here, you'll notice it has a drop down and it shows all locations. For some of you, you only approve for one location. In my case, we actually do a couple different locations, but if I was looking at just the admin building, the information would change here just based on what building I've selected. Now, there won't be many to display at the other locations, of course, because we're not technically live yet. Here you can adjust if you have a room that needs external requesters. You can see that here. It will actually split it for you when looking. You can see this is technically an outside person that has made a request. So I can see my external request and my internal request. Every column that's on here has a arrow, and that just means you can sort by each one of these columns. Just to explain, the username is who has requested. The requested column is the date it was requested. Description column, this would be the title of the meeting. Date and time, that is the actual date and time of the meeting itself. Location, so obviously the building, and then the conference room that they're looking for. This last area over here, the action, this is where you will actually make the approval or denial for a room reservation. Now for approvals, it's good to understand the system is designed to take certain factors into consideration, such as time restrictions that are on a room or a location, buffer times, or even days of the week. There are parameters for the buildings, and I've kind of worked through most of the buildings with each one of you at some point to kind of narrow that down and make it so the system will function for you and almost I think on your behalf, so it makes it much easier to make the approvals that you need to make. End users, when making a request to the room, if they fall outside of the parameters for your location, your building, they will not be able to proceed with making a request. So 9 times out of 10, when your approvals or your requests come through, depending on what your criteria is for approving a room, most likely you'll be able to go right to this screen, take a quick look at it and say, yep, that works for me, and approve the room. So we're going to do a simple approval. If I was looking at this room, I'd see who is requesting it, when they requested, the description, and the date and time that they're asking for. Now, in this situation, we will just assume that this is a good reservation and I don't need any other information than that. I normally wouldn't look any further than if it came through the system, I'm good to approve it. So I would go over here to the action, and as you can see, it will pop up Approve Resource, and you simply click on that check mark. And it approved the room. As it refreshes, excuse me, as it refreshes, it will just bring me back to the same page. The same can be said for this next one. I can say, yep, I do need to, something didn't look right in this one. I'm going to deny this one and move on with my approvals. So I'll go through and I'll say, nope, no good. Now this pop-up, continue to delete the request. This is saying within the web portal, the conference will be removed from the calendar. This is not saying that it is going to delete the reservation in their Outlook. Most individuals will be reserving through Outlook. This will prompt the user. They'll receive an email telling them that the request was denied, and I can let them know at that time that the reason for the denial, they can make the adjustment on their end, and the approval will show back up on my screen after they've made their adjustment, whatever it was that I requested them to change. So again,
And how do you do that? How do you
be,
show that they need to do something? I didn't, when you approved it, I didn't notice any difference either.
Okay. It may have done it way quickly. It did. It took it off the screen pretty fast when I did click on it. I can put another one on there and go through the process again, but we will be doing another approval here in just a moment.
Okay.
So let's see here. Give me just one moment. All right. So here I'll say, yes, go ahead and just one moment. I'll try to refresh this and see. Now, if I click yes to deny, it will deny the request and go back to the individual. And I'm thinking the system didn't update fast enough.
Okay, but on our end, like, I don't see a difference.
You don't see the meeting disappearing off of there? There was a meeting in the list, and once I had approved or denied, it removed it from my list. So my list.
Well, I don't know which one it was, but Yeah, I'm having a hard time following, I guess,
Okay.
because it doesn't look any different. And like when you approve, it doesn't, I mean, I have check marks and X's,
Yes, you
both.
should be able to see both check marks and X's. These are your options to either approve a
Mm-hmm.
resource, to use
Right,
said,
right. And so
or
when you
deny.
do that, when you click on either one, it doesn't show a difference. So,
Here, there's nothing, this list will continue to get smaller. As I'm approving or denying, this list will shrink. So I'm seeing what is in my list that needs to be approved right now.
okay,
So if
okay,
I were to go into, if I were to go into, let's say this one, and we'll kind of
okay,
discuss the repeating events and going inside a reservation. And from there, you'll also see the process. And then we'll
okay,
come back to this. I'm going to also place another reservation, a simple one on the system, so you can see the difference
okay,
techniques in this list. So moving on to this description area, you can see how each one of these show a link. So if I feel that there is, I need just a little bit of clarification, I can see that there is, here's the date and time. This is my beginning of my series. And I can see what time it begins and ends here, administration building. And here's my repeating schedule for that. But I know for us, we have to approve based on also setup and the number of people in there and what it looks like when comparing maybe a meeting that was going to take place before this meeting takes place. So I would go into this reservation by clicking on the link. And now you see the inside of the reservation. When we're inside the reservation, we can, some important things to note here. Obviously, your description, date, and time. You'll notice that this is a repeating event, and it has a link here. This link, if you click on it, will bring you to all of the events that are in that series. And you can also go into each one of the individual events if you need, which then can be treated as a separate reservation. There will be other training videos following up with this, getting into the real detail of repeating schedules and the differences that you might see in a reservation, or how to go through and make changes maybe to just one reservation and not all of them. We figured we would cover the basics because not everybody will go into that much detail. So this is your main page, details page. Here, you'll note that there is a history tab. Anytime that there is something that took place, a change or update of data, you'll see it listed here, who it was performed by, and the action. And this only gives you the simple action that was done. And then obviously the date and time. For some of you, at some of your locations, you'll see additional tabs at the top. It really just depends on what's offered at your location and what information you've requested to obtain from the end user. Down here, as an approver, you can change the title. So if I wanted it to be an event instead of a meeting, it actually will show as a different color on the calendar when you look at the calendar as a whole.
What's the difference between an event and a meeting?
Well, meetings are used primarily for, they can be used for conference rooms, but we do have rooms out there that are really just meeting rooms. And so they're actually having a
They're
meeting.
just smaller rooms?
It's just
Okay.
a smaller room, yeah. So, and it's really up to you how you want to, for your location, you can decide whatever one, or if you need something added to this, we can add to this list. But you can decide what you would like to describe it as if you're wanting to make changes at all. I believe it defaults to meeting. And then these areas here, these are primarily used by the end user, and it's for their own purposes. You may have, if you watched the demo video, you would have seen this area described. And then we have our communications tab. Communications tab is really an important tab because this is where you can convey information to the end user, whether you've made adjustments to your their reservation or you need, you just would like to convey. Normally there's 12 chairs in that room, and because of our larger meeting, there's only going to be 10. You can provide them with information, and they can provide you with information from this tab. To do so, you would just click on this plus, and you could put in your note to the requester, or if you're an end user, you could put note to room processor. And you can decide, because this is a repeating event, whether this will go for only this reservation or all this and all future instances. It's very similar to, you know, you're just looking at the series when we're talking repeating events. Back here. I didn't make any changes. I didn't type anything in there for this example. And then we can see here if the room has whether it's a standard setup or some rooms don't have any setup, you will see it listed here. In our conference room F, there's an option for a solid rectangle. They have other options here that are listed, other, classroom, auditorium. These numbers that are next to it are just max capacity for that type of setup for that room. Now, not all of you will have this on your rooms because not all rooms need setups. Not all locations are the same. And then you can see here that there's a setup and cleanup time listed as this is the standard setup and cleanup time for a solid rectangle in that room. Now, if this looked good, I could click here and hit save this in future events and it will approve it. If I decided, you know, I really need more information from them, there's this more tab in the top right hand corner here, and you have a couple different options. If I needed more information from that individual, I would select email, and you can see here that it puts by default because I'm the one using this right now, it puts by default my email address and the individual which requested the room. I can choose to take my name off, or I could add my name here by clicking on add email. Typing in my name.
Is this red ball thing for purposes of this demonstration, or is that thing actually on there?
No, it's purposes of this demonstration. It's just when I noticed that it was hard to see with the mouse, just with the pointer.
That's fine. That's fine.
So, so in certain cases, you may find you wanted to copy maybe another room admin that you share the responsibility with. You could add their email here as well. So here you can make any changes that you might need to make. You could say additional information needed or whatever you needed to put in the subject along with the body of the reservation. You can use a standard template, but obviously you can't see what that is here, and it will send it out just as basically how it looks right here is what it will look like for the standard template. So I highly suggest that if you're going to make any changes, send them an email, leave it on plain text and make your changes and send it out. Once you're ready to send it out, you'll just hit submit. Now here, once you're all finished, like I said, you can hit save if that's what you choose to do. You can hit close. I haven't made any changes, so it won't prompt me to ask if I want to save my changes. Now I can go in here and let's say I would like to change solid rectangle 20. It's not going to work for that room. I can say, we can do solid rectangle for 15 because that's all the chairs we have. I can go back here. And submit that information to them. Now, based on the email that I sent, I made the changes here. I gave the communication here. And based on that, it will bring me here and ask me, do you want to approve this room? If I'm good with the changes that I've made and I'm ready to move forward, then I can select yes, go ahead and approve, or I can say no and deny the room. This one, I'm going to approve.
So you could approve only one day or 2
Or
days.
all of them. Yep.
Or all of them, yeah.
Yep.
But you could approve partial or all.
Yes. Yep. And if you're
Mhm.
not approving all, it's best to send them that email, letting them know that, oh, I could approve all of these, but this one, here's the reason why. If you want to make a change to it, feel free.
Okay.
And do you see how this list also got smaller? I've made an adjustment
Okay.
to my approvals, and now I only have 3 left that are in my list.
Yeah, I see the difference of the size of the list.
Mhm.
But like when you're doing whatever changes you're doing,
Mhm.
it doesn't show any different here. Like there's no color change, there's nothing. Do you know what I mean? It still looks the same. So I was just wondering if anything was actually happening, because whether you clicked on the X or the check mark, it didn't show anything. So I was just wondering about that. And then you said something about you were approving something. So when you approved it,
Mhm.
did it go away?
Yes, it leaves this list, but it doesn't leave the resource scheduler. This is the
Okay.
approvals list, and as an approver, this is where you will do most of your work. Now, as far as your
Mhm.
go and what the criteria is for your room and what it is that you normally look at, will all
Mhm.
depend on your department and how you process your room reservation.
Mhm. Mhm.
This is simply showing you how you're going to approve and deny your room requests as they
Right.
come through to you.
Right.
And that,
Yeah, I understand all that. It's just I couldn't see any difference, and as you go through it, I still don't see a difference. Like it doesn't highlight it or anything. So I'm thinking, okay, so what's happening?
it's looking across this here. And although it doesn't look like it changes anything on this list, my approvals list gets smaller. Colors aren't going to change
Mhm.
here. Nothing is going to change here when I'm approving and denying. Where I will see it is on the home screen if I'm looking at my location for rooms.
So as an approver, we can just be sure that if you clicked on it, it took it.
Yes, if you click approve, you've approved the room.
Okay.
You'll also be able to see that here. Let's go back to the home. I can show you the difference here. Actually don't have any approvals left to do. When you are looking at, let's go here. There we go. Do you see how there's little symbols on this room here? You can see this
Okay.
circle,
Yeah.
the up and down. This is showing you that this is a reoccurring reservation. There's setup and tear down that need to take place in this room. Let's see if I can find another. Try to get to it. There we go. So you can see here, see how this one right here has that exclamation point?
Mm-hmm.
That's saying that that room still needs to be approved. So although you can't see it on the approvals page, that there's a difference in the meeting, there is a difference in the icons that are showing
In some other,
in other areas. And
yeah,
I'm guessing when you,
doesn't, yeah, which doesn't help when you're, yeah. Anyway, that's the nature of the beast. So
when you are going through and you're making your approvals, again, I don't know what your process is. For ours, it's 9 times out of 10, we can accept the reservation as long as the setup fits. And so then there's small adjustments sometimes that need to be made for the room itself. Your primary, I'm guessing you're really looking at, is that room going to be available during that time? And if that's the case, you can click on the room itself. Probably should have clicked on a room there. And I can see on the 18th that from 7 to 10 a.m. there is a meeting in that room. Other than that, the room is available. You see what I'm saying? So you really are going,
yeah.
you can look at approvals, you can look at the location information and see that it's available. A lot of people have opted to go with automatic approval because the system won't let somebody reserve outside of the parameters that are set. So they set the parameters to very detailed, so that way they don't have to worry so much about making approvals themselves for the rooms.
Well, actually, I think that's the way that it was set up for B building, because when I was asked to do this long time ago, Patricia said, well, all you have to do is, is approve it when it comes. You just say approve, unless you click on it and it'll say that it cannot approve it, or that the room is not available, or something like that.
Okay.
So actually, it was almost like the machine was doing the work for you.
Yes, and that is very much the case. There are some rooms I know at your location that there's still approvals that are going to be required for certain rooms. So, and that is, it's based on the location and the information that was given. We can discuss it a little bit more, and if you have additional questions after the meeting, I'd be more than happy to go over them with you. Does that work for you?
Sure.
Okay.
That will be fine.
Okay. All right. So moving on with this, if we have, so we've just approved a room. Now we're going to go through and look at a repeating event that, as I labeled it, we're going to deny. And you can see here that the room, for whatever reason, it just didn't fit the requirements of our location, let's say. Again, you can see the repeat, and I can see all of the dates that they have chosen.
And those are all for the same room?
They are, yes. The system will only allow for a repeating event to take place in the same room, which have the same parameters in the sense of it will begin at 3, it will end at 4, it will be on this date. They can choose, and it will be in this room. Beyond that scope, and it's going to be standard practice and just train, given as we're providing training to the end users, we are going to highly discourage adding, because they can actually add a resource in an additional room, and that makes it very, very complicated within the system. So it is, everything really does need to match for the repeating events, with the exception of they can add additional reservations, which is in this system is considered ad hoc, and it can only be done through the web portal. They can't do that through Outlook because Outlook doesn't offer that. So you may see in certain situations that a repeating event will have it follow a schedule like every Tuesday for the next 3 weeks. And then they might have a Wednesday thrown in there. It's because they are able from the web portal to add an additional date to that. So now here, another area I did want to bring up to you. In certain situations, I know at our location we run into it a lot, where we might have a buffer time that's standard for a room. But then all of a sudden there's a large meeting that's going to take place, and it's actually going to take more time to set up the room than what is just standard for that room. That means I can go in and I can click the setup time and make the adjustment in minutes here. What that does is it actually says to the calendar and all end users, the room isn't available from this time to this time. It does not change their actual meeting, which is really important to understand. So they've placed this from Outlook, requested this room from 3 to 4, but I'm saying, nope, that needs more time than a standard buffer or possibly no buffer at all. I need an additional hour for that to take place. On the calendar, it will show end users and will not allow other users to use the room if they're asking to keep that room until, let's say, 2:30. They're wanting to reserve a room at 2:30. Well, that's not going to work because I've set the buffer to say from 2 to 3, that's going to be our setup for that room. We need that time to do that setup. So if you need to make adjustments to setup or cleanup time, it really doesn't affect any part of their meeting. It won't, any invitees, they won't receive notice that a time has changed on here. It will just look differently on the calendar and other individuals can't reserve it. Same goes for cleanup time. So now here I can send the individual an email, or I can go right out of this screen and I can say, nope, that doesn't work for me. I apologize. I'm going to go back in here and standard practice to let them know. Let's just say that's the reason why. Click on there, and now I'm going to deny the room. I'm going to deny the room for all of the reservations. And that's done. Let's go to room approvals. All right. So as you can see, I actually added another meeting while we were talking. So another one showed up here, but my list would be smaller and I would only have 2 left on my list to approve. Now, when you're looking at reservations, and I know we kind of were in this home screen, I had mentioned to you that you can see, based on your location, your rooms. And here you can say how you would like to view all of the rooms or one of the rooms. Since I had clicked on Admin General Rooms, it's going to list them all here at the top for me. And then it will list the time for this date. Obviously, if I could click the calendar, I can change the date. I can go back to today if I did change the date and I wanted to come back. I can click on a particular room and I can look at it in different formats. I go to, let's go to a busy room. So each one of these areas that you're clicking on, you're able to see what's taking place, if there's reservations for that entire week, because I'm in the Timelight week, that entire day. So it will just give me a different view for the reservations. Now, do you see how this is a little bit different of a color than what this is here at the 9 p.m. mark? This is because this is the buffer time now that is set for that room. So when somebody looks at the calendar and is wondering if the room is available, they'll see that this is blocked out. This is the actual event that is taking place. Now, you're also able, I know that there's going to be times that you're going to need to look for a reservation within the system. The best spot to go to for that is the search reservations. Search reservations is when you know in particular what you're looking for. So if I'm looking, I'm just going to leave my scope here the way it is. It kind of defaults. This was my last search, but you can choose based on location. You select or deselect by just clicking on the button or on the location that you're looking for. And you can drill down if you need to. You can do it based on size. You have your date, obviously. This date range, whether it's in the past, current, and future, or a specific date if you know that's the actual date. The downside to this search is it will require you to put something in one, either here or one of these, in order to get a search result. So that's why I say if you know what it is you're looking for, I'm going to use Misty as an example. I'm just looking for all her reservations in the system. Now I do have to search her name in here. But we'll just leave it like this and I'll show you what comes up. It's quite a few. Now it will give me every meeting that Misty has requested from now going into the future, because that's the scope that I was looking for. If somebody calls you and has a question about their particular meeting, it might be that they actually know their reservation number and you would be able to put that in. You would be able to put that in to the area here, and it would pull up that particular reservation number for you. So when you know the particulars, you can use this search. If you're looking at overall reservations for your location, just anything in general, but you're just looking really, I just want to know time frame between the 19th and, oops, just 31st. In our situation, because we have setups and teardowns, I would select this. But I could leave it, it's usually best case just to leave it as general as possible, because the more you filter, if even one thing doesn't match, that's not going to show up in your search. You can change the format here on how you would like to see information and how you would like to group the information that's going to show for you. So I'm just going to search all of it. It will give me the title, start, end date, date and time, excuse me, description, obviously region, location, the group that they're under, and the resource. But this is a good way to just get the info fast, and if you're not too sure, but you just know it's within a date range, this is a really good quick link report to search under. So that's Reservations. Those, as an admin, I believe are going to be extremely helpful for you. All right. And that pretty much concludes the training for today. Does anybody have any questions? Was there anything additional that you would like to know?
When is the rollout?
The rollout will be with, I'm hoping by the end of January. So now that admins have been trained, we'll move forward to training the super users, which are individuals that really just they reserve many reoccurring reservations, because that's a lot of detail to go through. And then once we have done that, we'll train the end users, and which will be done with a simple demo video. So it will go pretty quick from here. The biggest part was getting our approvers trained so they knew how to handle the information as it came in, and where to search and look, and where to approve the information.
Reservation and be the same person that approves it?
Actually, what happens when you are already named as an approver in the system, it will not request approval. It will just automatically go through. So I believe in the Sheriff's Department, there's certain rooms that are used and only able to be used by certain individuals, or can only be used by the Sheriff's Department. So anybody that's in the Sheriff's Department is considered an approver for a particular room, and the reservation will automatically go through. So you won't be inundated with reservation requests because they didn't need approval in the first place, or that's how it was requested to be set up. I know we have other locations that are set up that way as well. Clinic rooms, that kind of thing. That particular group, anybody that belongs to that group can reserve the room, and they won't need an approval because they're considered in the system an approver, even though they don't receive notice that an approval is needed.
Okay.